This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. My guest today is Josh Olszewicz. Josh, of course, is a trader at Tekami Capital. He's an analyst here at Brave New Coin, and he is Mr. Carpe Noctem on Twitter. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you doing?
Mr. Andy, I'm good. How are you?
I am also very well.
Saw a picture of a stadium filled with people in your country, and I was just mouth agape, completely amazed at the situation. So I'm happy for you.
That's right. Here in New Zealand, we are not only moving into summer, but as of today, as we record, yeah, I think it's safe to say that we're officially COVID-free, apart from the cases at the border that are safely in quarantine. But yeah, so I think the stadium you're talking about, that was the All Blacks playing Australia, and a capacity crowd. Yeah, my son was there with his granddad, and yeah, I do understand that people around the world look at that and they're like, wow, what is New Zealand doing?
Yeah, very, very symbolic of the situation, you know. So that was great.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk. I'm sure we'll get back to politics, but we'll get back to the pandemic if you want. But let's talk crypto, Josh.
Sure, yeah. That's what it's all about, right?
It is. So a couple of things I wanted to cover off with you today. Obviously, lots happening. There's always lots happening in crypto, but I wanted to talk about you've started a couple of new YouTube video channels for Brave New Coin. So I just want to get across what you're doing there. And also, you know, it's fun times because I guess, you know, we're coming up to the end of the year and things are looking surprisingly or not surprisingly bullish. So yeah, I'd love to kind of get your analysis across all that. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Let's do a Brave New Coin first. We're on the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation podcast, and of course you are the lead analyst here at Brave New Coin. And so talk me through these the new YouTube videos that you're doing. What's the idea there?
Yeah, I mean, as a content creator yourself, you know how there's always a push for quality and quantity, right?
Yes.
So that was part of my whole thing. Is I prefer to watch a video that's 10 minutes long than to read anything ever. I don't know. That's just me. I'm super visual, so I prefer the medium that is video or audio, honestly, because I can listen to it at 2x. That's the other thing about video. You can watch a 10-minute video in 5 minutes and watch, you know, so much more content quicker. So I always like that to reading an article. So I reached out to David and I said, he's the content guy. He's our boss-ish, right? And I said, hey, let's do more video stuff because it's just easy for me to do. I have the setup. I'm ready to go. How my video stuff is actually how I got a job at Brave New Coin years ago, because it's basically a living portfolio, you know?
Well, and obviously you have an incredible face for video and and a voice for, you know, you're a natural presenter for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I agree with it, but I appreciate that.
Funny that you talk about you prefer video content and I guess audio as well. And look, I'm a big podcast guy. I enjoy listening to podcasts, but I'm kind of the opposite. Maybe it's because I'm 10 years older than you, Josh, but I could easily prefer to kind of speed read something rather than watch a video.
Yeah, I can see that side of it. I feel like personally I get more out of it if it's visual. I don't know, it's just me. Maybe it's my learning style, but so yeah, there's always a push for content, and there's increasingly new amounts of people into crypto or new traders from all sorts of avenues. So I thought, why not, let's bump up the educational content a little bit, which is pretty much what I'm doing 4 days a week, four extra videos basically.
Yeah, so is this, I understand it as you're doing like a kind of a weekly price analysis video, then you're doing a weekly DeFi token analysis, DeFi roundup video, and then you do a kind of a BTC ETH trading setup of the week. Is that a sort of a good way to describe it, or?
Yeah, so Monday is Setup Monday, Tuesday is Trading Tip Tuesday, Wednesday is DeFi Roundup, and then Thursday I look at legacy and metals, equities,
That's right.
stocks, that sort of thing.
Gold and silver equities, yes indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the Bitcoin, the BTC ETH video yesterday. So Setup Sunday or Setup Monday, it depends on where you are in the world, of course. And you had a great way of describing, I think, the price signals. You said they were so fresh that they were like crystal clear glacial mountain water.
I mean, they are. I think it's hard for people, like, if I look at someone else's trading system and I don't know what the hell's going on, right? It's hard for someone else to walk into that and say, yeah, this is like pure gold, right? Like, this signal is amazing. So I try to illustrate, like, historically, the signals we're getting for BTC here are incredibly, incredibly profitable 91% of the time historically since 2012. They don't happen often. So when they happen, I like to like highlight them and say, look here, look at this, people, look at this. Not because I want people to be on my side of the trade. Like, I could care less at the end of the day. It's just, this is, it's a great time for BTC. Yeah. And ETH is, short to follow. It's about a week behind the cycle based on the cloud system as far as a bullish continuation, but it looks good as well. Looks really good.
Yeah, so and that's the other thing I jotted down. So from that video, you said a bullish TK cross above the cloud, and yeah, I think you said that that's like a 90% chance of being a bullish signal, right? Yeah,
and you don't need to know the cloud to like understand what's going on there. It's basically just a reconsolidation, and price is deciding on going higher. That's really all it comes down to. In general, you have either price moving up or down, and then you have price consolidating. And when price consolidates, it goes sideways. It's trendless. And then the market decides, is this an accumulation period or is this a distribution period? So are people buying with the expectation that price moves higher, or are they selling with the expectation that price moves lower? And based on the signals, it looks like people are buying to expect further upside.
Absolutely. So, okay, well, let's talk about Bitcoin first, and then I want to talk about what you think happens with ETH. But so, as we record today, it's Wednesday morning in New Zealand for me, so it'll be a Tuesday afternoon American time, and I want to try and get this podcast out. I'll probably get it out this week in a day or two while it's fresh, just because the price action, Josh, it is looking so bullish, but Bitcoin right now is pretty much bang on 12K US, right? It's getting up there.
Yeah, historically, again, it's we haven't been up here. Last time we were up here, it wasn't for an extended period of time, and then in June 2019, it was also a brief period of time.
I think we've only been at this higher than 12K for something like it's like 91 days in total, something ridiculous. It's not much.
Yeah, we are. It might feel normal to us now because it's consolidated. It's been sideways for so long up here, but historically, since 2010, this is fresh territory here. Something else to illustrate that is the 200-day moving average. If you look at the 200-day moving average, it's pushing all-time highs day after day after day, which might just be like a duh thing for most people, but to see that support level moving higher and higher at an all-time high is incredibly bullish as well.
What does that mean in terms of, because this is such fresh new ground, obviously the actual all-time high is a little bit of distance away in terms of price, but there's not really much price history up here, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, what do you look at in terms of resistance levels once we, if we can break 12K with momentum, what happens?
Yeah, so the biggest thing we're doing right now is normalizing 5 digits versus 4 digits. In 2017, 2018, we kind of just parabolic rise. There weren't enough sellers. There wasn't enough on the book. So it was just mania, right? It was just, the price didn't really matter. It just went up,
Yeah.
And oddly enough, you're seeing kind of the same thing with like the Pokemon cards stuff. I don't know if you've been following any of that nonsense, but
the NFTs
when there aren't enough,
and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, when there aren't enough sellers and people want something, price just keeps going up. So yeah, we're normalizing the 5-digit stuff right now, which is another way of thinking about the 200-day moving average. But talking about upside, we can look at things like yearly pivots, which are mathematical horizontal levels based on highs and lows of the previous year. And you can backtest those and see that there's decent evidence for support and resistance at those levels. You can also look at Fibonacci extensions, which are just another way of looking at mathematical highs and lows and sort of expectations of price highs in the future or lows in the future. But at the end of the day, with a trend, you just want to let the runners run. And the number is just a number. It's the market doesn't care at the end of the day. Like if this goes to 20, 30K, emotionally, all of us might be on cloud 9, but it's just important to reorient yourself as far as price expectations. Like, when we were breaking 3K, I thought like, all right, this is it, right? In 2016, 2017. Little did I know how high this thing could really go, right? To 2018, 20. So to use like the first or second or third bubble of Bitcoin as a barometer, it's just a number at the end of the day. And if there are more buyers and sellers, then it's just going to keep going up.
That's right. So, yeah, I mean, if there's anyone who's been in crypto, that's the first thing you learn is that, normal price appreciation doesn't really make sense once a bull market is in full flight. So a couple of things here. You mentioned the float, Josh, right? So the available supply that's sitting on exchanges, which is that that's going down? That's quite shallow, right?
Yeah, correct. So we saw this with Link a few months ago. Oddly, for whatever reason, there was a huge Link accumulation that was being pulled off of exchanges. And anytime anything is pulled off an exchange, that's just a signal that no one wants to sell. And the opposite signal is also true. If there's tons of on-chain activity or movement to an exchange, then that typically signals a local top or a top in price, which makes sense. It's just supply demand, right? If there's nothing for sale, price just keeps going up as long as demand is equal or higher in any given time. So we're seeing that with BTC. We're definitely seeing that with ETH. The difference now is that because of the DeFi stuff, people, I think, expect a yield while they're hodling. So what they want to do is, if they don't have it on an exchange or if they don't have it in a wallet, they move it to some avenue that gives them some sort of yield, whether it be automated market making or lending, all sorts of ways now that exchanges or DeFi DEXs stuff offers a yield on what you're holding. And these yields are higher than anything you can get in legacy. Legacy yields are like 1% or less,
yes,
if you're lucky. And soon to be negative in some parts of the world. So people look at crypto, I think, and see, upside potential just for collecting interest, essentially, right?
Exactly right. It's it's a little bit of a mental switch to make, but you can feel that, both at an individual level and at a maybe, you know, some companies, Square and so on, and maybe at an institutional level, there's, you can be a little bit more comfortable holding an asset like Bitcoin because you can, get a yield rather than it just being a pet rock, as people like to say.
Yeah, I really dislike that. That does a disservice to the HODL people. The HODL people are why any of this stuff is up to the price as it is. You know?
Totally, and I agree with that as well. I'm a hodler myself. Well, look, targets though. Then Josh, I know you've never been shy to be the 30K by July guy previously. So look, I'm not going to hold you to this, but what do you think? What do you think happens?
So what we can do is say, all right, what's the rate of change of this since some time, like 2019? Okay, let's see, what's the rate of change of this current trend, and it gives us some timeline for price expectations. We can say reasonably by January that we're at 18-20K. That's like a reasonable expectation if the current rate of change continues. If it speeds up, it goes higher. If it slows down, it stays where it is. But again, those numbers sound insane. They sounded insane in 2016 when we were talking about this stuff as far as the rate of change of price. But as long as the trend is intact, it is what it is, Like, yes, it's emotionally exciting and invigorating, right? A lot of people are making a lot of money if this goes higher and higher.
So 1 second, Josh. So you're talking, did you say January, February? And you're obviously talking that's next year. So this is, 2, 3, 4 months away?
Yeah, so I'm talking January 2021.
Yeah.
We could see 18-20K.
And so what needs to happen for that thesis to play out? I know it just means more people buying and less people selling, but what are the market conditions that need to facilitate that, I suppose? Yeah,
so as long as the trend continues at the current rate, there's a reasonable expectation of 18 to 20. If it slows down slightly, then we're talking 15, 16. But just looking at, again, the rate of change since 2019, price wants to go up.
I guess and of course the big unknown, or maybe you have an idea, is if Bitcoin gets back to that all-time high and even breaches it, let's just say 20K and above, then you would expect. Would it keep going, or is there going to be probably a really sharp pullback first and then it keeps going, or do we consolidate at the all-time high? What any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we can look at Bitcoin in 2017 when it hit the all-time high for the second time at 1200. There was a lot of congestion at that zone, as there typically is. There's usually a lot of people recognizing that price is back to where it was previously, and there are sellers who come in, there are people who bought lower who said, all right, enough's enough. But if all that selling is exhausted, as was the case in 2017, then all that's left is buyers, right? So
yes,
that's really what it comes down to. Yes, there will be an acknowledgement of that level clearly at what is it, 20K. I mean, it's a psychological round number at 20K. It's previous all-time high. There's going to be a lot of activity there, both buyers and sellers, because buyers are going to step in and say, hey, this is going to a level it's never been. It's in price discovery. And the sellers who bought at like 3K earlier this year are going to say, all right, it's at the previous all-time high. Enough's enough for me. So it really comes down to that. But there's definitely going to be an acknowledgement of that level for sure.
Okay, so we've talked Bitcoin then, and I think the easy summary there is very bullish Bitcoin. Let's just switch to ETH briefly.
Well, even if you're not, the thing is, even if you're not bullish, like, what's your short thesis here? Why are you bearish, right? Like, I don't know a single thing, because we can talk about external factors like politics or legacy correlations. I think the biggest concern is if the legacy markets dump hard like they did in March, then the bullish trend currently is certainly at risk for crypto, just based on the legacy correlations. But overall, I think that's really the only concern that I can see as far as where this is going. We're seeing more and more companies announce that their treasuries are connected to Bitcoin in some way. So I don't know. It's just hard to be bearish. Yes, we're at 12K. Yes, it's insane price wise, but the market doesn't care.
Yeah, I'm with you, Josh. And look, the only bearish scenarios I can really see is, you know, if your fine country kind of begins to fall apart at the seams. So if you could just hold that stuff together, please, Josh. If
Yeah,
the US could just, you know, get back on Team Planet Earth for a while, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more liberal than Republican, but at the end of the day, I just want somebody in office who I don't have to pay attention to, you know, because like it is what it is. But at this point, 4 years of being hyper aware of what's going on in the president, the office of the president is just enough for me. So
enough said. It's enough for me as well. Just hold it together, America. Okay, let's talk ETH. So I've seen you talk, I think it was again on one of the videos or somewhere, maybe on Twitter, you talked about going 100% ETH when ETH breaks 390. So I just want to put that in context and understand what that means, because, you know, if Bitcoin is super bullish, and you're obviously bullish on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is at 12K right now, and ETH is obviously falling. So is that ETH trade already invalidated, or is there something else going on here? What do you see happening with ETH?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation because typically they're pretty correlated, BTC and ETH. I mean, we can look at the ETH BTC ratio and see what that's been like over the past few months. ETH certainly outperformed BTC earlier in the year, and I think it's equilibrating. It's coming to an equilibrium, right? Like BTC has decided that for whatever reason it's ready to go right now, you know, like for all the reasons we were discussing earlier. It's at local highs, it's being talked about on the macro level, it's being compared to gold in more and more ways. But so there's that. I don't know why ETH is necessarily declining as much as it is today, but if I look at technicals alone, like I did in the BTC and ETH video earlier this week, it looks as though it's a few days behind its decision as far as bullish continuation. So that's why that 395, 400 level is so critical, because if ETH can re-break that level to the upside, then that suggests that the market is ready for bullish continuation, just like it does for BTC currently.
And by a bullish continuation, so is that kind of like a across the board, so altcoins as well, or is there a danger that people will just want to withdraw out of alts and just put everything back into Bitcoin if Bitcoin starts really flying?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I don't think people should expect alts to be bearish necessarily. They should certainly expect alt BTC pairs to be bearish, definitely, as BTC outperforms everything over the next couple months as it could. But ETH should follow, just to a lesser degree. I'm still bullish on ETH, and some people might be thinking, well, if you're bullish on ETH, why don't you just start buying now? I mean, yeah, you could, but if you're looking for trend confirmation or trend continuation confirmation, then 390, 400 is definitely the level to watch. But I mean, ETH, you got to think, ETH had let me just see here. ETH was up 350% from the March highs to the September highs, or the March lows to the September highs. So, you know, it makes sense that BTC is catching up, right? It has some catching up to do.
Yes. Here's an interesting one for you, Josh. I saw on a comment on one of the Brave New Coin YouTube videos. So one of the videos, a random internet commenter said, "Hey Josh, could you please tell us what your portfolio is?" And being the transparent stand-up guy that you were, you said that your personal portfolio is BTC, ETH, XMR, and Tezos. And the funny thing about this is I was talking to Brad in the office earlier this week, and I had casually mentioned to Brad that in my mind, I was thinking that the ideal portfolio was BTC, ETH, XMR, and Chainlink. So we're quite close, but yeah, thoughts on that? Why is that your portfolio choice at the moment?
Yeah, so on December 9th, 2019, I bought 10 alts that looked good. And with the idea being that I could double each of those positions over the course of the next year. 9 of those have doubled at this point. So most of those I'm out of those positions now. I'm still in Raven coin. I haven't looked at that chart lately, but so the Monero and the Tezos are part of that package. The Tezos I've bought and sold a few times. Once it doubled and then rebought after it pulled back. But the thing I like about Tezos is there are so many people with heavy Tezos bags, and Tezos kind of hasn't done anything yet. In that there's like no smart contracts, there's no dApps. It's very much the first inning for Tezos. So from a fundamental side, I like the upside. I mean, the technicals don't look great, but the other part about Tezos is the staking. So at the very least, you're getting some return, even though you're not outperforming BTC at all. Just mentally, I've just chalked that up as a loss against BTC, kind of to opportunity costs or what have you. But I think it'll have its day. I don't think it'll be soon, but I think it'll have its day. And then Monero, you're talking like one of the most pure networks as far as proof of work.
Yes.
Not really listed anywhere.
Yes.
Doesn't really get talked about.
Correct.
Other than like ransomware.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a workhorse. It does what it does better than anything else.
Yes.
I don't know. I really like the chart. I really like the chart in December. I really like it now. It technically looks really good for continued upside as well, as far as bullish continuation. So that's one reason why it's probably doubled since December 9th at this point, but I haven't sold it because it looks like it wants to keep going.
Yeah, I just think, XMR, Monero, it doesn't really get any more crypto than Monero, right? And you're right, it's been such a quiet year or two for XMR, and really, I guess, for privacy coins, because, DeFi has been sucking up all the air in the room. But
yeah, I think that's what impressed me as well. Like, Monero was moving up quietly, even with DeFi popping off.
Yeah.
So that's why I've just held on to it. I think it's got potential to go to 200, 250, honestly.
Good stuff. Go XMR. All right. Let's keep David happy and throw in his ad right here, Josh. So if anyone's interested in any kind of crypto data product and an index and indice, something like that, Brave New Coin can help you, as David will explain here.
Whether you're an enterprise fund manager or a retail trader, buying and selling cryptocurrencies successfully requires price discovery you can rely on. Brave New Coin's liquid indices provide trusted US dollar prices for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. Featuring end-of-day or intraday outputs, you can count on the BLX, ELX, and XRPLX for accurate US dollar pricing for smart contract oracles, settlement price discovery, net asset valuation, and performance analysis. Visit bravenewcoin.com to find out more.
Okay, Josh, I do want to talk DeFi because, as we mentioned, you're now publishing a weekly video on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel where you look at most of the leading DeFi tokens, mostly purely from a chart price action perspective. And what's quite fascinating about it is you can be objective because you're not really a fan of a lot of these tokens yourself, or even a DeFi. So I guess first off, why don't you talk about the video, and I want to just get your kind of hot takes on DeFi and what it's all about, what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the distribution of the coins and the pre-mine aspect of the coins. You can call it rebasing, you can call it whatever you want. It comes in many different flavors, but at the end of the day, it's all the same stuff. That's really the biggest issue with it, is the creator can just make money out of thin air, right? So it's, at the end of the day, it's no better than the system we have now in the real world. And I think that the whole point of crypto in the beginning, at least, was to evolve, make a better money, make a better whatever unit of account, store value, that sort of thing. So to see the DeFi stuff exploding is and was concerning. To see the increased number of Ponzi impairment schemes is and was concerning. To see the rug pulls, so they're called, where developers just take the money and run, is concerning. All that just gives me a completely negative view of anything in the DeFi space. So there's that aspect to it, and there's the contract side of it, where all these contracts, for the most part, are unaudited. They're super risky to invest in, to put money in. I don't know. There's just to me, there's no redeeming qualities to any of this stuff. I do like the DEXs. I do like the exchange side of things. I think one day DEXs will be the way to trade. I don't think that's currently the case. We saw what happened with Uniswap. People were declaring new paradigm from the mountaintops, daily volume surpassed Coinbase or wherever. If you look at the volume now, it's completely non-existent. It's not non-existent, but it's several multiples less than what it was during the height of the madness. So all that reminded me of the ICO stuff, which most of that stuff has gone by the wayside, disappeared, has been disappointing. Just, look at Filecoin. So, I could go on and on. None of this stuff looks good, right? It doesn't pass the sniff test as far as investing or trading or hodling. I don't know. It just doesn't.
Yes, well, look,
it doesn't appeal to me.
Controversial views, Josh, and no, I understand your comments very much, but at the same time, because DeFi has had this incredible bull run this year, and there's just it's almost cliche to say, but all these Ethereum developers, Josh, so many people working on all these different protocols, and I guess minting new tokens to sell and so on. But yeah, so what happens? What would be your DeFi thesis for kind of 2021 and beyond?
Well, I think it'll definitely be Darwinian. There will be one or two diamonds in the rough that pop out of all of this at the end of the day. A single ICO that was great and it actually did something doesn't come to mind. Although I'm just blanking. Can you think of an ICO that actually did something?
Eric Voorhees was just saying on Twitter this week that he was picking Filecoin.
Yeah, that's you say what you want about Voorhees, but anytime he's pumping something, it's generally a bad sign for the project.
Yeah.
So, Filecoin's a disaster if you look at any of the mining stuff that's going on with that.
What about Basic Attention Token?
Okay, I actually like that. I like it as a service, a product. I don't think they needed a coin. I don't think they needed an ICO, but that's the thing. A lot of these projects are like great ideas on paper, like ZRX is the classic example. What they're doing for crypto is great. The decentralized exchanges need to happen because of all of the exchange hacks or malfeasance. It's been over 10 billion, I think, at this point. The OKEX stuff is happening right now where people can't even withdraw their coins. It's a giant mess across the board. And when you trade off of your MetaMask, it's just a breath of fresh air to know that you, for the most part, are safer than centralized exchange. But I don't know. I can't think of a single ICO that actually has done anything. But DEXs are here to stay. I like DEXs. We need more of them.
So I've got one ICO for you that has done well potentially and is real world utility. Chainlink, surely.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. The thing about Link is I don't know why it's up. That's the weird part. Not that there needs to be a reason other than more buyers and sellers, but
I think Chainlink just had the narrative and it's the new XRP, right? So there's just everyone's in behind it.
I guess. I write an article about Chainlink every month. You think I'd know more about it than I do, but I don't know. It's weird because I don't understand why the price is appreciating, I guess, other than speculation, and speculation is good enough for most of crypto or any stock, whatever, what have you. I don't know. I don't know. The same thing with Ripple. Why does Ripple still exist? I don't know. I think Ripple's at a giant risk of going by the wayside once these central government digital currencies start popping up.
I'm pleased you mentioned that, because that is the last kind of thing that I just wanted to cover off is Raoul Pal had you probably saw the Twitter thread that he put out a day or two ago when he was talking about central bank digital currencies and the kind of the new Bretton Woods agreement that is perhaps tangentially related, and kind of what this means for, in terms of a big overhaul of the global financial system, and of course, where Bitcoin fits into all that.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's good for crypto. It's definitely a seal of approval to see central bank issuers or institutions looking at issuing a currency like that. It's inevitable. It really is. I mean, the war on cash has been long-standing and continues. I mean, in the U.S., we have a coin shortage. I don't really know how that's even possible, but I almost think they have no interest in printing coins or minting coins at this point. I feel like everybody's ready for a digital currency. I think that's just my own personal viewpoint. I think there's definitely privacy issues with that. If you look at the Chinese digital currency, it's essentially just a spying tool. Just you can see what everybody buys, what everybody's doing with their money. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with it at the end of the day, but I think it's definitely coming for all countries. It's just inevitable.
Yeah, and I just saw, I think Rob mentioned it in one of our internal Brave New Coin Telegram groups, how the Reserve Bank for New Zealand and here in New Zealand is making moves to ensure that cash doesn't disappear from the system. I think I'm just looking at a news story on that now, and they're talking about maybe just doing that to protect the vulnerable and the elderly, who I guess might be more comfortable paying for their milk with $2 coins than a central bank digital currency, Josh.
Yeah, there's definitely generational issues as far as usage. I've seen stories maybe a couple of months ago about nobody really knows where all the money is. Like, as far as the physical cash, physical coins, people don't know where it's sitting. As far as who's hoarding it or why, I don't know. It's a weird situation where we have an issuer who can issue this stuff, but doesn't see the need to. I guess I don't know the ins and outs of it. It's a weird situation.
It's just going to be again such a shift if and when we do move to central bank digital currencies, and then what happens when governments and central banks, if they can kind of agree on how to do this, effectively everything is taxed at the root. There'll be probably good serious advantages and disadvantages to these things, like any new kind of technological or economic paradigm shift, but boy, it's a brave new world.
Definitely. I mean, right now digital credit cards hurt the unbanked or underbanked people because they just are out of the system. So yeah, we need to figure something out that works for everybody ideally. And banking the unbanked is why crypto that's part of the narrative anyway. At the end of the day, though, it's more about, lately it's been about unbanking the banks than banking the unbanked.
Correct.
It's kind of funny situation, but
it's funny how these things work. And well, Bitcoin, as Raoul Pal is saying, is the kind of the life raft out of the system.
Yeah, it is, and that's why it's weird that it's tied to legacy markets as much as it is. So that suggests it's a risk on vehicle, while at the same time many Bitcoiners hope that the narrative of safe haven asset still holds true. It didn't hold true in March, certainly. when everything collapsed. I mean, even gold collapsed, so it's not like gold was any different there. But yeah, it's a weird risk on everything bubble situation right now that most everyone is hoping in the BTC realm that if we do collapse in the legacy markets, that BTC will stay afloat, which I think is wishful thinking, but
yeah. Okay.
But we'll see. I mean, if we get a stimulus in the US, which is inevitable to me, whether or not it's Trump or Biden by January, I think a stimulus is inevitable, and that has been bullish for stocks, and it'll be bullish for crypto. It'll be bearish for the dollar, which is another reason on a macro scale, I think BTC is poised to go higher. So it's good that the technicals and the fundamentals line up in that direction.
Yeah, and just before we finish off, you know, that's the thing I like about central bank digital currencies is it would make the tax thing much simpler, and maybe, you know, kind of cut out a lot of that bureaucracy. And with the stimulus, for example, and the same would be true of a UBI or anything like that, you know, just the efficiencies and just being able to either, you know, take the right amount of money down to the cent off people when you have to tax them, but also be able to, you know, with a stimulus or whatever, give money back to people and do it in a fast, efficient manner. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, just like we do Social Security here. I don't know if you guys have that in New Zealand. I assume you have some version of that, right?
Well, we're a socialist country, Josh, as you know. Communism.
Yeah, but like,
so of course we do.
Yeah, another thing about the U.S. that's so strange is we look at taking care of the elderly or the military. Everything we do for those people is extremely socialist, extremely socialism oriented. But anytime we talk about the entire country, it's like, oh, we can't have that. That's communism, right?
Yeah. Now, most of the developed world has free healthcare, apart from the US.
Right. That's another thing. You know, military people here get the VA association or the VA healthcare, and seniors get Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. But the moment we start talking about, you know, Medicare for all, it's like, oh, we can't have that. That's just too expensive. It's an interesting situation, I guess. But
all right, let's finish this off. Always a pleasure, Josh. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom?
Trend is your friend. Don't think otherwise. You know, I see a lot of people, and I'm seeing it more and more. Just with my random tweets or random comments, they will be on the other side of the trade, which is fine, you know. But be ready to be wrong, because if you're wrong on the wrong side of the trade, you're going to lose a lot of money really quick, especially if it's a 2016, 2017 situation where a lot of people were on the wrong side of that trade and they lost a lot of money. You know, hodling is the easiest thing you can do in the world.
Yes, and it's the hardest lesson to learn in crypto.
Yeah, for some people, certainly, definitely.
All right. Well, hey, if we don't have you back on before, and look, we probably will, but yeah, let's see how this thesis plays out and where we're at early 2021. Bitcoin bull. Here we go. Begin the bull run. Thank you, Josh. All the best.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, boom. That was today's episode. Thank you to Josh for coming on the show once again. As I record this outro at the end of the show, it's now Thursday morning here in New Zealand, and so wow, what a difference 24 hours makes. Bitcoin was at $12,000 yesterday when talking to Josh, and now as I wake up this morning it's 12,764, up 6%, or about 6.5% overnight. And ETH, good old Ethereum, has followed just as Josh predicted. That's now sitting around 394 this morning. So yeah, and this perhaps on the back of the PayPal news that was announced overnight, but yeah, just couldn't be more bullish at the moment. So exciting times in crypto as we look to close out the year. And of course, if you want to check out Josh's weekly videos, and I really do recommend you do. They can be found on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel. Link will be in the show notes to this episode. Boom. Thanks for listening. See you next time. See you next week. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New